The female writer Yao Yao was trapped in the novel she had written. She could only complete her task and return to the real world by making the novel's villain, Xiao Qiji, fall in love with her. She had tried many times but failed. The task restarted, and this time her new identity was a maid serving the sixth prince, Xiao Qiji. She was also a spy sent by the empress and often mistreated the blind prince. Yao Yao drove away the eunuchs and approached the sixth prince, intending to help him up. But Xiao Qiji bit her arm. He insulted her for being hypocritical and then struggled to stand up on his own. However, after taking just a few steps, he fainted in the snow. When he woke up, he grabbed Yao Yao's arm. She hurriedly explained that she was just applying medicine to him, but he rejected her goodwill. Yao Yao leaned closer to his wound, gently blew on it, and asked if it hurt. Xiao Qiji was stunned. He pulled out a knife, intending to kill Yao Yao, but she suddenly handed him a piece of candy, telling him that it would hurt less if he ate it. He held the knife and candy in both hands, lost in thought. The eunuchs bullied the sixth prince, pushing him to the ground, scattering the paper money he had prepared for his dead mother's memorial. Yao Yao rushed forward to stop them and chased the eunuchs away. She approached to check on him, but he pushed her away. Yao Yao didn't mind and accompanied him to pay respects to his mother. Suddenly, as patrol guards passed by, she pulled him into a room and covered his mouth. Being so close, Xiao Qiji felt a little shy. However, the empress still learned about his secret memorial, and she had him beaten as punishment. Yao Yao wanted to help him up, but he misunderstood, thinking she had informed the empress. She could only stand aside, silently holding an umbrella for him. Later, Yao Yao swore to him that she hadn't betrayed him and held his hand to show sincerity. Xiao Qiji touched her forehead and realized she had caught a cold. She smiled weakly and fainted in his arms. The empress summoned Yao Yao and questioned why she was caring for the sixth prince instead of tormenting him. Yao Yao replied that it was more fun to fatten up the prey before the hunt. Satisfied with this answer, the empress let her off the hook, but outside the door, Xiao Qiji's guard was spying on them. The guard informed the prince that Yao Yao was a spy sent by the empress, and the enraged Xiao Qiji decided to kill her. Yao Yao gave him a string of bells, telling him to shake them whenever he needed help. Not long after, she fainted in his arms. Xiao Qiji ordered his guards to gouge out her eyes so he could use them to regain his sight. Yao Yao died, and her task failed once more. The task restarted, and she was given a new identity. When she opened her eyes, she found herself in Xiao Qiji's arms. Frightened, she moved away from him. However, the sixth prince called her mother. It turned out that this time her new identity was the empress, his stepmother. The prince was beaten and punished again for being too slow to save the empress from falling into the water, but Yao Yao suddenly knelt before him and apologized, shocking him. She asked him to stand up, sit on the bed, and then helped him treat the wound on his neck, leaning close to blow on it. Xiao Qiji recalled how that palace maid had also blown on his wound in the same way. He asked her why she was suddenly so kind to him, and Yao Yao replied that he had saved her, and she was repaying the favor. She even made a familiar gesture as she bowed to him. He thought again of the maid and tried to hold her hand, but Yao Yao avoided him. The ailing emperor summoned the empress to his bedchamber. As he was about to kiss Yao Yao, the prince walked in and interrupted. The emperor, annoyed, ordered him to leave. Xiao Qiji was drugged with an aphrodisiac that the emperor had prepared in advance, causing him to hallucinate. He imagined himself intimately biting Yao Yao's ear. Yao Yao quickly found an excuse to leave and pulled the prince away, breaking his fantasy. The emperor, feeling his illness worsening and nearing death, decided to have his empress die with him. He planned to have her killed when she left the palace. Yao Yao asked the prince to accompany her out of the palace to buy the emperor's birthday gift, and they bought a cloak. Xiao Qiji thought the cloak was for the emperor, but Yao Yao draped it over his shoulders instead. He was both surprised and touched. The sixth prince saw his crush, ran, dating another man, leaving him heartbroken. To comfort him, Yao Yao took him to release sky lanterns. Seeing her smile as she made a wish, He couldn't help but smile too. After parting ways with Xiao Qiji, Yao Yao was heading back to the palace when a group of assassins attacked her. As a sword was about to strike her, she closed her eyes, thinking she was about to die. But Xiao Yan, a friend of the sixth prince, suddenly appeared and saved her. Xiao Yan found Yao Yao oddly familiar, reminded of the woman who had once saved him and with whom he had fallen in love at first sight. The sixth prince was sent to the temple to pray for blessings by the emperor, and Yao Yao prepared many supplies for his journey, including a bag of candy. Looking at the candy, Xiao Qiji thought again of the maid who had shown him kindness before. His brother took the candy from him and threw it to the ground, then kicked him twice. Feeling helpless and saddened, Xiao Qiji walked alone in the snow. Just then, Yao Yao called his name from behind. He smiled. She ran happily toward him but almost tripped, and he caught her in time. Yao Yao wrapped him in a warm cloak, telling him she had come to fetch him. Together, they returned to the palace, sharing the cloak. Exhausted from preparing for the emperor's birthday, Yao Yao's back ached, so she ordered her maid to massage her. When she turned around, she found that the one massaging her was actually Xiao Qiji. He leaned in close to her, smiling as he flirted with her. Embarrassed, Yao Yao told him to leave quickly. While chatting with Xiao Qiji, Yao Yao encountered his crush, Ran Ran, and Xiao Yan. The prince grew jealous upon learning that Xiao Yan had saved the empress. At that moment, an arrow flew toward Yao Yao. Ran Ran pushed her aside to save her, and Xiao Qiji hurriedly pulled Ran Ran into his arms, shielding her. Sitting on the ground, Yao Yao witnessed the scene, feeling a pang of jealousy. Xiao Qiji tried to check on her and wanted to take her to see a doctor, but she refused. Yao Yao told him to stay and look after his crush, and Xiao Yan helped her to the physician instead. That night, the prince insisted on seeing the empress and knelt outside her palace for a long time. Though still angry, Yao Yao couldn't bear to see him suffer, so she let him in. Xiao Qiji took her hand, letting her touch his face, and apologized. Yao Yao realized he had a fever and was about to call for a doctor, but he pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly, and then fainted. Yao Yao cared for him through the night, only to discover he still held the bell she had given him before. She asked the sleeping Xiao Qiji why he had kept the bell, thinking he couldn't hear her. But in fact, he was only pretending to be asleep. He recognized her as the maid from before. The emperor sent assassins to kill the empress again, but Xiao Qiji discovered the plot and took an arrow for her. Wounded, he fainted in her arms. Yao Yao tearfully begged the system to save him, and the system teleported them to a house where a masked man saved Xiao Qiji's life. The next morning, the prince awoke and pulled Yao Yao onto the bed. Yao Yao asked him if he had to choose between her and his crush Ran Ran, who he would choose. Xiao Qiji hesitated. He was confused. His feelings for his crush were something the novelist had written into his character, forcing him to love that girl. But now, he realized that he had developed feelings for the empress too. A guard entered the room to report that Xiao Yan was actually the long-lost eldest prince. Xiao Qiji was shocked. The emperor publicly declared Xiao Yan's identity and chose him as the crown prince. Then the emperor ordered his guards to surround Yao Yao. But Xiao Qiji burst in, killed his dad with a sword, and claimed that the emperor had been assassinated by other assassins. He walked over to Yao Yao, telling her she was safe. Xiao Qiji took Yao Yao to his chamber, where she remembered holding him in this room once before. He exposed her true identity as the palace maid from the past and told her that he was about to ascend the throne as emperor, and she would be his woman. He locked her in a cage, wishing to keep her under his control forever. Yao Yao pretended to have a stomachache, seized the opportunity to knock out the maid, and took the key to the cage. She escaped the room and encountered the crown prince, Xiao Yan. She sought his help, but they were soon surrounded by guards. Xiao Qiji appeared, and seeing the crown prince holding Yao Yao's hand, he grew jealous and intended to kill the crown prince. She pleaded with the sixth prince to spare the crown prince and agreed to return with him. He took her back to his room, gripping her neck and slowly leaning in to kiss her. After ascending the throne, Xiao Qiji planned to make her his empress, but faced much opposition. In response, he killed all who opposed him. He then brought her to see the crown prince, Xiao Yan, who had been tortured beyond recognition. Xiao Qiji clutched her neck, forcing her to witness the crown prince's miserable state. Yao Yao begged him to release the crown prince by kissing him, but he pushed her to the ground, despising her pitiful plea. The crown prince was rescued by Xiao Qiji's first love, Ran Ran. Other imprisoned princes also escaped, and they vowed revenge against Xiao Qiji. Knowing that Xiao Qiji cared most about Yao Yao and Ran Ran, they kidnapped both women. His brother forced Xiao Qiji to choose one woman to save, and he chose Yao Yao. Then, catching his brother off guard, he killed him. He then carried Ran Ran away, leaving Yao Yao to find her way back on her own. She misunderstood his choice as a means to protect his first love and felt deeply saddened. Xiao Qiji imprisoned his first love, Ran Ran, to lure the fugitive crown prince out of hiding. He ordered guards to surround the crown prince, while Ran Ran, disguised as a palace maid, attempted to assassinate Xiao Qiji. It turned out that her father had once mocked Xiao Qiji as the illegitimate child of a palace maid, inciting Xiao Qiji's wrath, leading him to kill her father. Now, Ran Ran sought revenge for her father. Yao Yao shielded him, but in that moment, a voice echoed in his mind, commanding him to kill Yao Yao. Unable to control himself, he stabbed her. Yao Yao, shocked and with tears in her eyes, fell into his arms. Regaining his senses, Xiao Qiji held her tightly, weeping and apologizing. Yao Yao died, and Xiao Qiji, clutching her hand, tried to wake her. He considered blinding himself to return his eyes to her, but his guards stopped him. Tormented by grief, he remained convinced that she would be reborn and return to him in a new identity. The novel's mission restarted, and she was reborn as the long-lost granddaughter of the Empress Dowager from a neighboring country, and her brother bore an uncanny resemblance to Xiao Yan. 5 years had passed, and Xiao Qiji had been searching for the reincarnated Yao Yao, but could not find her. So, he once again imprisoned the crown prince Xiao Yan, spreading the news in hopes of forcing Yao Yao to reveal herself. One day, Princess Yao Yao was wandering in the forest when she encountered Xiao Qiji, who frightened her, causing her to stumble and flee. Xiao Qiji, disguised as an envoy, visited the neighboring country to propose an alliance marriage, claiming the emperor wanted to marry the princess, but Yao Yao immediately refused. That night, Xiao Qiji suddenly embraced her from behind and pinned her against the wall, asking why she feared him so much. In her panic, she called his name, Xiao Qiji, which made him suspect that the princess was indeed his beloved Yao Yao. Xiao Qiji arranged to speak with Yao Yao and informed her that he had imprisoned his younger brother, who was her son from when she was empress. Deeply worried for her son, Yao Yao demanded to know what he had done. Xiao Qiji suddenly held her tightly, confessing that his earlier words were a lie, merely to force her to admit her identity. Yao Yao broke free from his embrace, declaring that she would never forgive him. Heartbroken, Xiao Qiji coughed up blood, revealing that his illness had worsened over the past 5 years due to his longing for her. Yao Yao later knew that Xiao Qiji had imprisoned Crown Prince Xiao Yan, so she went to beg him for his release. He agreed, holding her hand and asking for forgiveness, but she turned and left. The guard told Yao Yao that Xiao Qiji's hair had turned white over the years due to his longing for her, and he was gravely ill with little time left. His only wish was to see her one last time before he died. Yao Yao, moved, decided to forgive him. She went to reconcile with Xiao Qiji, but had no intention of rekindling their romance. She urged him to forget the past and start anew. He then revealed to her that he knew she was a novelist and that he was a character she had created. He recounted a dream in which he made a pact with a mysterious man who resembled him to bring her into the novel. Yao Yao finally understood the truth. The masked man that she had met before was the original Xiao Qiji from the novel, who, dissatisfied with his lack of an ending, brought her into the story. In the original novel, he had killed everyone in the world. This time, he wagered the lives of everyone, and if Yao Yao could let go of her prejudice and love him, he would spare them all, though at the cost of his own life. Yao Yao went to find Xiao Qiji and asked him to kneel on one knee and extend his hand. She then held his hand and explained that this was a marriage proposal in the real world. Xiao Qiji felt so happy, and Yao Yao stood on her toes to kiss him, confessing that she had fallen for him at first sight. Hearing this, he pulled her into a tight embrace. Xiao Qiji's condition worsened, but he instructed his guard not to tell Yao Yao, as he wished to hold on until their wedding. Together, they released Sky Lantern, and on the paper, Yao Yao wrote her wish for Xiao Qiji to live a long life. Suddenly, he began coughing up blood and collapsed in her arms. On their wedding night, he held her close, thanking her for giving him a happy ending. Yao Yao told him she loved him, and he wept as he closed his eyes. She then learned that she had been in a derivative world of the novel all along, so the one who died was the derivative version of Xiao Qiji, while the original in the novel had not died. Yao Yao refused to return to the real world, choosing instead to go back to the original novel's timeline to find him. She returned to the novel world, calling out Xiao Qiji's name with tears in her eyes. He came to her, and when she turned, they embraced tightly, recalling the beautiful memories of their love. This time, they would never be separated again.